first place that's ever fired me that I'll pull for. Thank you.
Well, everyone got their wish. Happy New Year. Gailey is fired, as we've seen his press conference right before. And he goes out with a win, even though it was meaningless and just took away a couple draft picks, or a couple
slots.
Picks, a couple slots in the draft there.
Yeah,
and
went from, we could have been if we'd have lost the game, we would have the 6th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we have the 8th overall pick.
It sounds fine. It's okay. You can screw up the number 1 pick. It doesn't matter to me.
But we retained a Buffalo Bills fan. He's going to be a fan. He's going to be pulling for us, even though he's not going to pull for any of the other teams that fired him, which is good. With one more Bills fan out there. Hope he watches our show.
I don't know about that. He wouldn't like it, I don't think.
We destroy the
But
program.
before we get on to the coaching search and the shakeup in the front office this morning, what can we say about a game? I mean, the Jets are terrible, so it's hard to really judge the defense. And I think, frankly, they didn't get too big of a rush on him consistently, and they don't even have any weapons. So the Bills, it was okay.
Well, I don't know why the Bills couldn't do this opening day, and maybe our whole season would have been a little different coming off an opening day like this, and maybe a little momentum. But the bottom line is Sanchez is probably not a franchise quarterback. I always thought people were too high on him. He brought him to a couple of championship games with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a New York Post headline, Broadway Schmo, one of his first bad games, that
right.
he had. And I never really I never bought into the Sanchez argument that he was a good player. Wanstead, the first week of the year, plays our cornerbacks 20 yards off the ball and let them just pick us apart. Why we didn't figure that out and fire him after the first week? It would have been nice if they would have fired Wanstead after that first week against the Jets. Buddy Ryan's basically owned us, but I think Sunday...
Rex Ryan.
Rex Ryan, Buddy's son. Rex Ryan owns us. I think the Jets just packed it in, and they didn't care. The game meant anything, but it didn't mean anything. The Bills were winning the game, I think, and they were at one point, 26 minutes into the game, we had the Jets had 20 minutes of possession, and the Bills had 6 minutes.
Yeah,
of
it was crazy.
We were getting outplayed, but somehow, some way, we figured out.
Yeah,
how to win the game.
I mean, I was at the game. Fitzpatrick still can't throw it in the right spot for the receivers. The offense, they have like 3 running plays, and one of them is up the middle, and the other 2 are draws to the right or the left. And, it is what it is. Two bad teams played each other, and we won because we were at home.
But when we were talking about this before, winning is not, in football, the score is 35-28. If it was a hockey score, it would be 4-3. I mean, 5-2. It wouldn't be a huge scoring game. I mean, there's not a lot of scoring in games, and that's what happens. But you win. You learn how to win. And I don't ever root against the Bills to win. I was at a Jets game before. And we won 6-9 in overtime, and the fans tore down the goalpost. We won 11-1 that year, and we were happy we won the game. But just imagine how brutal the offense and Jim Kelly and the boys was that day to only score 9 points, and 3 of them were in overtime.
Against Ken O'Brien or whoever the quarterback was.
I mean, winning is important, and learning how to win is very important. Will this be a carryover? I don't know. I just get the sense, though, that you have to get momentum and start to win games. So they fired Gailey. Who's the next head coach?
Well, look at the string of candidates, guys that were fired. You got Lovie Smith from the Bears, Andy Reid from the Eagles, Ken Wisenhunt from the Cardinals. So those are the head coaches that are past head coaches that are in play.
Jon Gruden, did you say him?
Well, he didn't coach last year. So then we got Jon Gruden, who's always kind of in the mix. I hear he's going to be interviewing for some of the spots. And then you got some of those college coaches and the coordinators too. Yeah. Mike Zimmer is the defensive coordinator from the Bengals. He's one of the hot names. Russ Grimm, but he was actually a few years ago. He was on our list. He interviewed for the Bills job. He didn't take it, and he was actually one of these guys that was pissed off that he didn't get a chance to coach the Steelers when they hired Mike Tomlin. Now, I think Russ Grimm, he's sort of his stock has lowered. I don't think he's going to be getting as many interviews, and he's also not going to benefit from being a minority candidate, which apparently their defensive coordinator, Horton, who has been on our radar as well, or at least been linked to us. Now, that's all bullshit.
It's hypothetical.
The agents,
Nobody
put
knows
the stuff out there.
Right
no one knows anything. We listened to Russ Brandon today, and he said that he was supposedly, who I guess he's a good friend of Jon Gruden's, and he said that, the news articles have him out at the restaurants eating dinner with him, and he says it's just not even true. So it's hard to say. It's all speculative. And who knows? Anything could be happening. We could have Mark Sanchez here next year.
Yeah, it's a flip of the coin. You never know if you pick the right guy. I hope we pick the right guy. I hope they figure out the guy that could turn us around. We thought when they fired Dick Jouron, well, you were saying you weren't real happy when they got Jon Gailey, but I thought he just couldn't do any worse.
I thought it was going to be good, but there was these other guys, and kudos to them. These fans who saw the writing on the wall right away. They said Jon Gailey is not a good NFL coach, and they hated him from the beginning. And you know what? Maybe we should have just listened instead of having the blinders on.
He didn't have as good a record as Dick Jouron. He was worse than Dick Jouron. So hopefully we don't get somebody worse than Jon Gailey, and he ends up with 3 wins next year. I mean, that would be the worst case scenario. I go back a long time. I'm a Bills fan. You see this old 1960s jersey on me from the Buffalo Bisons, but my recollection of us going through coaches is not good through the Bills. Harvey Johnson twice. They had a list of them all in the paper today. Some really bad ones. Joe Collier after Lou Saban. Lou Saban came back. I guess he came back. Jim Ringo, just to name a few. Ken,
that's the
Kay
real
Stevenson,
bad one. There you go.
And Hank Bulla. I mean, they just keep amazing me that they can find somebody worse than the guy before.
What's been worse? All the coaches we've had in the past 10 years, or the lack of the quarterback. I mean,
that'll do it for you. You have Kelly Stouffer and Joe
Bledsoe
Dufek.
was never even that good. If you look at Bledsoe's stats, he had the 1 year where he threw 4,000, and that was good. But he never threw for 60%. He couldn't move around the pocket.
But you know what?
He sucked.
Jim Kelly's last year as a quarterback in the NFL, he was the 23rd ranked quarterback that year. This year, Fitzpatrick was the 19th ranked quarterback in the league, but yet Jim Kelly went 11-6. The following year, I'm thinking, well, it can't be worse than the 23rd ranked quarterback in the league. We pick up this guy Todd Collins, and he ends up with the worst third down percentage completion in the history of the NFL, not just in the Bills, in the history of the NFL. So it always can get a lot worse, and you could win games without having that high number one quarterback. I mean, we had the number 23rd quarterback that year in the ratings, and he won games. Now,
1996, though, this is a different game.
No, but it's if you had, I'm telling you right now, if Fitzpatrick had the same year he had, and our defense didn't give up 10 straight drives to New England, give up 50 points to Seattle, and give up 50 points to New Orleans, and and shut down these other teams like the Jets and everything, we'd have won 10 games. We were talking about before, there's only 3 or 4 plays that Fitzpatrick could have done and won 4 more games. We said a completion for 15 yards against New England, a couple bombs that were wide open against Indianapolis, we would have beat that team. Against Tennessee, throws an interception with 50. If he just throws an incompletion with 3 minutes left at the 50-yard line, if he just throws an incompletion, and then what was the other team that we lost to? The Rams.
Right at the end there. We actually that was almost more on the defense. They drove right down.
But I'm just saying, one more play and he scores another touchdown in the games, and we win.
Yeah,
those games.
The defense
we
is
have
futile,
10
that's
wins
for sure.
and we're on the playoffs. So the point is, as bad as Fitzpatrick was, and I'd like to get rid of him. If the defense played halfway decent, instead of giving 10 straight possessions without a punt, even the Seattle game, they didn't punt to the fourth quarter. If they give the offense the ball back, after every 3 times, they give him a shorter field, they wouldn't have been 15th in the league or 17th in the league, whatever he was. He would have been in the top 10 offenses.
Well, you could argue in some sense that Jon Gailey was a scapegoat because the defense was so bad and the fans, were clamoring. We're already not selling out games in December. Well, I'm not really very happy.
Well, you don't
if they would have kept him, we wouldn't be right. We might do
win.
These videos next year, and I'll tell you right now, if he was still there, I'd have a really hard time sitting here and even giving a crap because he's inept during the game. That's sure. And a better quarterback and a better defense might make you look better. And hell, just a better defense would have gotten us. He would have been here if we would have won 2 more games. He'd still be here. And we'd still be playing.
He shouldn't have been so enamored with this Fitzpatrick either.
Yeah.
You got C.J. Spiller. He had like a career year type of thing. He's only in his 3rd year. He's like over 6 yards per carry. They said that he had 1,700 total yards. He had a nice long run for that screen pass and 60 yards on that one play, and that's what he's able to do, have big 70-yard gains. But he had 1,700 yards. It was the first time since Travis Henry was and that was like 2003.
Yeah, 2002.
And Travis Henry had over 100 touches more than him
Sure.
to get his 1,700. So could you imagine if Spiller had 100 more touches?
2,500 yards of offense.
He might have broke the record.
Hey, but you know what though? Maybe you said this earlier. And Fitzpatrick, even though he's doing, he had okay stats and a pretty good over 3,000 yards. The way the league is now, quarterbacks are always hitting over 4,000 yards when they're being a success. We haven't had enough offensive plays because, just like you saw in the Jets game this week, first half, 20 minutes to the Jets, 5 minutes for us. We weren't getting the ball enough. The defense wasn't getting them off the field.
3 and outs all the time, and that was, I think that was Chen Gailey's biggest fault. And he
He's
trusted,
not a complete coach.
Well, he trusted Fitzpatrick to do it.
Well, and trusted Wannstedt to do it too.
This is the most career rushes the kid ever got. Spiller, he had 24 rushes. He only scored. He had like 60 yards. But he had that long screen, and he had a couple of catches out of the backfield.
And that keeps the other team honest, though, too. I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he just didn't know how to. He'd rather have Fitzpatrick throw it 41 times than have Jackson and Spiller run it 41 times, and that was his demise. I think if he would have just let Fitzpatrick throw it 17, 18 times and make those first downs, where they're just hammering it into the line.
Well, and it's hard, you can understand this coaching change because, with the players, it's hard for a player to get behind someone, the same old. I mean, they're deflated, the team, the players. I mean, it sucks to be on a losing team. Guys like Kyle Williams, who
as the season goes on, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I don't think anybody was deflated. They pick up this $100 million man.
Not at the beginning,
line.
but I mean, let's say
great defensive
after
line.
this year, with all those expectations up. Enough for us to hit down right in the shitter.
Well, that's why they almost have to fire Gailey, because if they started all over from scratch with Gailey, nobody would really want anything. Now, today they announced that Russ Brandon is going to be the CEO and president. In fact, they've already changed it within an hour on the website. And they say that Ralph Wilson's completely out of it, which is hard for me to believe. But, maybe it's a good question is how much was he really into it based on his health and his age. But
his health ain't too bad, but his age, I mean,
so Brandon comes on today. He says 3 things he wants to do. He wants to get forward-thinking, progressive people. He wants to take the Bills to that next level and win the Super Bowl. And he wants to just hire world-class people at every little
well, that sounds great. That sounds good. We all wanted that.
Well,
every team wants to do.
Pagula, doesn't it? Kind of Pagula saying that my sole reason for existence from this moment on is to win the Stanley Cup. I wish they would have said our sole reason for existing is to win the Super Bowl, and that's something that that we didn't really hear that today. But they said they want to win. They're sick of losing and they want to continue on.
Well, I mean, that's everyone's goal around the league, and the teams still suck. So, I mean, what do you want?
Mutt, I want my 3 wish lists. I wrote it down here. I said I want them to draft a quarterback or pick one up in free agency, somebody that can take us to the next level.
Well, let's talk about free agency real quick.
I'd love to get a rookie draft no matter what, even if you pick up somebody on free agency. And go ahead.
I was going to say, would it be good to do both? I mean, the free agent possible quarterbacks you could get. You could possibly get a Phillip Rivers because he's sort of run out his welcome in San Diego.
So?
He could be up for a trade. I mean, that's a good possibility. And Nix drafted him or was part of the team that drafted him, so you could have that right there. Alex Smith, he's going to be done in San Francisco because I doubt he's going to want to be somewhere else. He's going to want to play.
But is he really a franchise
I don't think he's that good either. However, you pick up one of those two, just like the Seahawks did. You saw what the Seahawks did this year. The Seahawks took a free agent and drafted a guy and said, best man win. And then they started the rookie, and that's worked out for him. But we could do the same thing.
Against us, that Seattle guy. In fact, the Seattle game was such a nice game, and we got all those great hits from the Seattle fans that I think we're going to adopt a team for the playoffs since our beloved Bills aren't going to be there, and we'll pick up on the Seattle Seahawks.
Well,
and
they're a fun team to watch for sure. Well, we got that going on, and so I think you draft one, you pick up a free agent, you see what happens. Fitzpatrick might stick around, but somehow I doubt it. You cut him loose.
Well, I know everyone's predicting this, and nobody knows what this Brandon's going to do now that he's got free reign. Supposedly, I always think the Bills are afraid to spend no matter what. But it's a $3 million signing bonus in March that they're got to pay. And I think there's another $100,000, which was not like some sort of other bonus.
Oh, I don't know. I'll take it.
But essentially, whether we keep them or we cut them, we'll have the same hit against the salary cap because of the way they stretch out those bonuses. but they won't have to take $3 million out of their pocket. So it doesn't make any sense not to cut him. I guess it's $3 million out of your pocket, especially if you know that he's not the guy for the future.
Well, to me, don't you think everyone is on notice? I mean, outside of maybe a handful of guys, because even you say what you will about Mario Williams, he was injured in the beginning of the year, didn't perform, and then he performed after, and he's had the most sacks of any player of the Bills in 10 years.
Our defensive line is okay, I think. I think we put too much pressure on him, and I really think the 4-3 is made for the defensive line to wreak havoc and the linebackers to come in and make the tackles. And we'd had terrible linebacking. So if we're talking about free agency, I would like to pick up a couple linebackers. I like to pick up Pozlowski, and I like to pick up London Fletcher and Spikes. Obviously, I don't mean any of that. I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but those are guys that if they were still on the lineup, I think our defense would have been 10 times better because our linebackers were pretty much invisible, and we see an interception by Scott for a touchdown.
Yeah, we saw that earlier.
But he's not a friggin' linebacker. Give me a break.
No, he'll probably be gone. I
looked at the stats today for the year. We were like 30th in the league or 31st in the league against the rush and maybe like 10th against the pass. Well, the problem was they were running it down our throats. And it goes back to pick your poison that they decided in New England. We said, we'll put these linebackers in and stop Brady. But then they just ran it down their throats. But not only did they run it down our throats, Brady had 2 receivers for 100 yards and 2 running backs for 100 yards. So they were just terrible. But I think that's a function of linebackering. And as far as the defensive backs, I mean, we have this kid. I hope they pick him up. Nate was saying earlier we should probably give him the franchise tag, Jerry Bird.
Sure.
And then you got Levitri. He's a free agent, and he's going to go out and he's probably going to sign for some big money someplace, and he's going to be gone.
Yeah, we'll probably let him go.
Offensive linemen are kind of interchangeable. They're big galoots in the middle, but here's a guy that's been our most consistent linebacker lineman, and he's played almost every position. I think he's played every position, but center. I think he's played every.
I think he's even played center.
He's even played center. So here's a guy that's very interchangeable. When people go down, he's been the most consistent, and we're going to lose him. But I don't know. Maybe Brandon will come. He's going to change things. He wants to have a young idea. They talked about this thing called analytical and statistical guys.
Yeah, what the hell was he even talking about?
In baseball, they look at like getting statistically to get their salaries down and get 2 guys at a lower price than a real big expensive agent that they could put in for situational things. And they look at it all pure statistics, and it has to do with the salary cap. And there was a movie about it with the Oakland,
like the Moneyball thing.
The Moneyball thing. It's all at Moneyball, but they're going to try to convert that into the football and more statistical. And they asked Buddy Nix about that, and Buddy goes, "Well, I'm more of a feeling type of guy. I go by feel. I guess, but if that's what the type of guy we're going to get, I'm going to have to figure out the statistical stuff what's all about." He's got that Southern accent. But I know we're going on 20 minutes now. We said we were not going to have a lot to talk about. We barely talked about the Jets. We had a lot of fun this year.
Last game of the year.
Did you enjoy do this or what? Did you have fun? I'd like to do it again next year. We got about 4,500 hits for the year. We got 2,000 hits for one game against Seattle. We averaged about 200.
Well, like I said, they have some good fans up there, and if we were the team going into the playoffs and red hot with a rookie quarterback, we'd probably getting 1 million hits for these damn things, as it were. But unfortunately, it's another end of an unsuccessful year.
Well,
we're on the hunt for a new coach.
Janja. Goodbye, Gailey.
No one will really be missing him, I don't think.
No,
however,
he's a good guy.
We got some. Who gives a shit, a good guy or not? They're all good guys.
Couldn't win.
Nice
though.
guys. I don't care.
Win.
Yeah, couldn't win. That's all that matters. And maybe if you would have had, RG3 or anything like that with him, maybe we'd be doing something else. But
yeah.
So
that's what I say about Buddy Nix. When they asked him, he said, we have a young team that's coming up. We had 6 starters on defense that were a first or second year player. He says the circumstances were against Chan. He says it was a transition year. We knew we were going to transition. We knew the first year was just a blowout. We totally, cleaned house and started from scratch.
Yeah, but they had Fitzpatrick then, and they kept him.
I know.
So why didn't they get a new guy then?
But he didn't know how to figure out to get a quarterback then. So how's all of a sudden he's going to figure it out now?
Oh, Buddy Nix now. Yeah,
Buddy Nix, and then he goes, I don't want a 15-year transition. I'm 70 years old. It's not going to take 20 years. But let's see if he can do something next year.
Well, it's been 13 so far.
See if they make the playoffs next year. That would be a big deal. But they got to get a quarterback.
Yeah, and we don't know nothing. So let's all just try not to be too rose-colored. So you think they stink, if you think they're going to stink, then if they do good, then it's better. And if they end up stinking again, told you so, another Bills year. 90% of the time we stink, so we might as well get used to it.
We got 20 minutes on this.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, go Bills. We'll see who the coach is, and maybe afterwards we'll talk about it again. See you later.
God bless America.